And we welcome you out to the Marina Variety Store Restaurant here in downtown Charleston at 17 Lockwood Drive for the first edition of the 2018 Coach Brent Thompson Show here on the Citadel Sports Network. I'm Luke Morrow alongside the coach himself, Brent Thompson, kind enough to give us his time each and every Wednesday night. And this year from the Marina Variety Store, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. We had a good day of practice today. Yesterday, not so much, but I think we got a little bit over the Tuesday, and now here we are on Wednesday, and I think we're coming together nicely this week.
Getting ready for the home opener this Saturday here in Charleston. We have the Bulldog faithful out here with us in person, and you can join us each and every Wednesday at the Marina Variety Store Restaurant located at 17 Lockwood Drive right in downtown Charleston. We'll be here every Wednesday for this coach's show starting at 7 o'clock, and we hope to see not only everybody here, but everyone out there listening at the stadium this Saturday for the home opener. But before we can look forward to the home opener Saturday, let's look back at the season opener. This past Saturday up in Spartanburg, you and the Bulldogs traveled up there to take on Wofford, and after falling behind 21-0, you came back, tied up the game in the second half before falling 28-21. You've been removed from that game now for a couple of days. As you look back at that 7-point loss, what are your thoughts on the first game of the year?
Well, it certainly didn't start out the way that we wanted it to. I don't know that we played a full game, and I told the guys that at the end. I thought we were the well-conditioned, better-conditioned team, because at the end I thought we still had some gas left in the tank. However, I don't know that we got out to the fast start that we were looking for. We had a couple first downs. We flipped the field over. We didn't convert on a fourth down, and then that kind of set us back a little bit. We put them in pretty good field position, and I felt right at the first half right there was whatever field position we had gained on the first drive, we had lost it when we didn't get that fourth down conversion there. So that set us back a little bit in the first half. And then, of course, we gave up 3 big plays. We were in position to make some plays on some of those, and we missed some tackles or we got outran a couple times. But all in all, it was not the first quarter that we were looking for. We did battle back and were able to score 1 touchdown before the end of the half. But it was not exactly the effort that we were looking to give.
The first game of the year, you're on the road against the 10th ranked team in the country. You fall behind 21-0. You battle back. You take them down to the final play, falling just 5 yards short. A moral victory doesn't count as a victory in the record, but is there such a thing as a moral victory? Can you come out of there still feeling proud about your guys for the effort they put forth Saturday and build off of that now moving forward?
We do. We feel good about this team in general, the way that they've come together. I thought they persevered. I thought they did a good job of battling back. There's certainly plenty of things that we can clean up, and we're going to get better, especially on the defensive side where we're very young right now. I think those guys are developing every single week, and we're doing a good job of coaching those guys up and getting them in the right spots. We've got some guys that are getting healthy again that will be back in the lineup here in the next 2 weeks, I would imagine, that are going to help us out on the defensive side as well. Offensively, we've just got to find out what we're going to be. What is Jordan Black going to do for us? Is he going to be the edge perimeter runner that we think he is? Can he throw the ball a little bit better, which obviously I think we need to do. But he also needs to settle down in his role, which I think he will. He's had a pretty good week of a pretty good day of practice today for sure. So I think he's kind of figuring out what his role is as well.
And let's dig a little deeper there with your quarterback, Jordan Black, the junior left-hander who made his 4th career start on Saturday. Went 1 for 11 throwing the football, as you just said. Would like to be a little bit more efficient there. But all in all, what did you think of his 4th career start leading the offense on Saturday?
I don't think that he was comfortable until the 4th quarter. Once he got into the 4th quarter, he missed some reads early on. He was running a little tentative, a little hesitant in the first two or three quarters there. When he got to the perimeter, I don't know if he really knew what he was going to get there, what he was going to do. He kind of broke through a couple times. But he's a lot better runner than he showed, and I think he'll find that as the season moves on and goes along, he's going to be a much better runner for us. And I know for a fact he's a better thrower than what he displayed. He's got to settle down a little bit more. I don't think the moment was too big for him because he has started in pretty big games before, but I do think this putting all the pressure on his shoulders right now may have just changed him a little bit. But I certainly have a lot of confidence in him from what he's done in the past and what he did in the 4th quarter and bring us at least have a chance to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the 4 career starts, but he has played in other games. It's not like he's just been thrown out there for the first time. At a certain point, is there something that you're looking for where okay, he's got it now and he has taken that next step to being the every week starting quarterback, leading this team and doing exactly what you want from that quarterback position?
comfortability with the ball in his hand. You know, when he's looking to get the ball out of his hand too much, that's not what I'm looking for out of Jordan Black. That was more Dominique. Dominique could distribute the ball, and he knew where the ball needed to go, and then he also knew when he needed to get downhill. Jordan's not that guy. Jordan's the guy that's going to slash. He's going to find a seam. He's going to cut back. He's going to make a play when it's not there. Those are the things that I didn't see from him on Saturday, but I think I will throughout, because I've seen it during camp and I've seen it during his career. And maybe it's a little bit different when you've got a guy like Dominique that's there for you. You're the second guy. You're the guy off the bench. Not a whole lot of expectations there. When there's a little bit more expectations on you, maybe there's a little bit more pressure there. But I do think that Jordan's going to be that guy for us, and he's going to get comfortable in his role.
Now, while Jordan was 1 for 11 throwing the football, the big story on the ground offensively in that first game was Lorenzo Ward going for over 120 yards. Former walk-on, now you're starting B-back in the backfield and having a great start to his season. How impressive was it to see what Lorenzo did in that first game on Saturday?
You know, that was the Lorenzo Ward that we've seen in practice. We've seen that really since his freshman year, but nobody gave him a lot of credit, including myself, until about his junior year. Right at the end there, we weren't going to put him into a game, and then we started to put him into a game and say, like, hey, what can you do what you do in practice in a game? And sure enough, he was able to. By the end of the year, he was the starter. By the end of the year, he kind of bailed us out of a bad B-back situation. So when he came back in camp, I'd always kind of had it in the back of my mind that he was going to be a scholarship guy. I just wanted to wait for the right moment to bring him in here and say, hey, here's your scholarship papers. I need you to sign this for me. And that's what he did. And ever since then, he's been a great leader. He's been a great role model for our guys. I kind of let those guys all the way through the summer, because the summer program can be demanding at times. I let them kind of take control through the summer and see what they can do, and bring them back in right after camp is just about ready to wrap up, and I have him sign a scholarship paper for me. So I'm really proud for where he's come and how far he's come, and I expect him to do a lot more things here in the future.
That's become one of the coolest things in college football. You see those videos all across the country of coaches surprising players who were walk-ons with a scholarship. As a head coach, what is that like, even if it's just, you know, having them come into the office, sitting down, telling them and signing the papers, and maybe not a big extravagant video, but is that one of the cooler parts of the job, to be able to reward a player with something like that?
It absolutely is. Those guys are there much like I was when you're a Division III player. You're out there for the love of the game more than anything. You just want to be a part of it, and that's what most of those walk-ons are. They just want to be a part. They want to earn their scholarship. They want to earn their keep, and that's exactly what they've done. And I've rewarded a couple guys this year, and a couple of guys almost came to tears in my office, and that certainly was rewarding. Just I know how hard they worked for it, and I really come to appreciate a lot of those guys, and I do like the message that sends to all the walk-ons out there that there's a chance.
And we saw some of that hard work Saturday night, the nice 9-yard touchdown run for the first Bulldogs touchdown of the year for Ward, where he broke a tackle. But for me personally, I think even more impressive was on the game-tying touchdown drive. He gave the ball to him like 6 straight times to get into the red zone and eventually into the end zone. I mean, he just really put the team on his back. That drive carried you guys right to the goal line.
You know, we saw something we liked. We put the formation to the boundary. We had a couple of good looks there that we were looking at, and yeah, we were going to feed the ball to him. I didn't want to take it out of his hands. He was feeling it. He was feeling pretty good in there. He had good vision. Our offensive line was doing a good job of blocking on that drive. That was one of those things where we needed points, and it was a necessity. We were so far down the field there that we needed to get points out of that drive. So I wasn't going to take many chances with that. I was going to put in the guy that I knew was going to put in the end zone.
And it led to the game-tying touchdown there late in the second half, tying it up at 21 as we still recap the game at Wofford this past Saturday that opened up the season. As you just mentioned, the offensive line doing a good job in that drive and allowing Lorenzo to rush for over 120 yards throughout the game. Some changes on that offensive line really leading up to the week before the game. How did you think that unit performed in the season opener?
Well, about 9 days out, we had to make some changes. We had some major changes in there. We moved Tyler from the center position to the guard, which is where he played in 2015 and 2016. Last year, we moved him to center because he's our best offensive lineman. We usually like to put him there when it's a covered center situation. But I thought Hayden had a great camp. Hayden House had a great camp. He's held his own, and I thought he held his own fairly well on Saturday night. So we moved him up to the starting center. We moved Tyler over to the guard, and then our 2 tackles have been the same, and the left guard was the same. So that was the slight adjustment that we had to make. Do I think we played well? Yeah. Do I think we played well enough? Probably not, as we didn't play a complete game once again on the offensive line. We certainly had a couple of missed assignments in there that, you know, cost us some yards in there. I don't know if it cost us points or anything, but it cost us some yards in there that really we could have used to keep drives alive. And then a couple of times we just had drives where we had a penalty, had a chop block call, and those are going to be tough for us to overcome. So I think that the offensive line right now is performing well, and they need to get a lot better, and we need to get some more guys on the ground, and we need to drive some guys off the ball.
We're talking with the Citadel's head football coach, Brent Thompson. This is the Coaches Show for the Citadel here, coming from the Marina Variety Store restaurant this season, located at 17 Lockwood Drive here in downtown Charleston. We'll take our first break. When we come back, continue to look at the season opener game at Wofford this past weekend. We'll turn our attention to the other side of the football, talk about the Bulldogs' defense in that opening performance, and eventually we'll look forward to the season opener at home coming up Saturday against Chattanooga. All that and more here in this hour from the Marina Variety Store restaurant. Coming back with more on the Coaches Show right here on ESPN 94.7 FM and 910 AM.
What does First Alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
To the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Lowcountry, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
We build our communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Lowcountry. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank, people you know and trust. We build our
style, selection, service, quality, value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
First Alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
to the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Lowcountry, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
Communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Lowcountry. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank, people you know and trust.
Style, selection, service, quality, value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Coach's Show with Coach Brent Thompson, the head coach of the Citadel Bulldogs, here from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant, located at 17 Lockwood Drive in downtown Charleston. Come out and join us. Still time tonight or every Wednesday night throughout the football season from 7 to 8. Many of the Bulldogs faithful out here with us tonight, and we hope to see everyone that's here and then some at the stadium Saturday for the home opener for the Bulldogs, 6 o'clock kick against Chattanooga. A new location this year here for the Coach's Show at the Marina Variety Store Restaurant. But, Coach, I see you still found a way to get some wings, even at a seafood restaurant.
Yeah, I don't want to change my luck at all. So I appreciate the wings. I actually tasted them; they're pretty good right now. So I'm excited that we've got them here.
I was warned about you and your wings for these shows. Looking back still as we reminisce about the season opener at Wofford before we look ahead to the Chattanooga game. Spent a lot of time talking about the offense there in the opening segment. Now let's look at the defense from that first game, and a lot of good things on that side of the football. Obviously, of course, from Noah Dawkins, who had a pair of interceptions from the linebacker position. The first 2 career interceptions for the senior linebacker. Ran one back for a touchdown, about 47 yards, to help you guys get right back in the game there in a matter of minutes from the end of the first half early on into the second half. And in the process was named the Conference Defensive Player of the Week to start the season. But, of course, anytime a linebacker of all sorts gets 2 interceptions, takes one to the house, that was a pretty good game for Noah on Saturday.
You know, the amazing part about that was Noah's been playing linebacker for probably about 6 or 7 days. He was playing the outside linebacker spot all camp long. And right there at the end, Coach Harrell came to me and said, look, I think we really need to move him in there. Give us a little bit more depth at linebacker. Give him the ability to make some plays in there. So I said, yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. So we ended up making some good plays in there. And I thought he was playing well at the outside linebacker spot. But when you're inside, it's a little bit different. And he had a pretty good drop. And he had a good beat on 2 of them. And he jumped way up in the air to be able to get a couple of those. As soon as he came down with the second one, though, I knew he was going to take it to the house. He's probably one of our top 2 or 3 fastest guys on the team. Most athletic guy that we've got on the team by far. He can jump a 30-something inch vertical. He's an over 10 broad jump, and he'll run mid 4.5s, 4.4s. I mean, he's a combine guy all the way. So all the way throughout, I think that I think that's a good move for us. I think it's a good position for him. He played it last year, kind of understands it. So I think it'll help him out.
And they were both, at least from the booth, looked like similar plays. Throws to that far side of the field, he just jumped right underneath them.
Yeah, he caught right in the throw lane. We did have some good pressure, so you got to give some credit to the defensive line, where I don't know that Joe could really see over the line right there. Kind of spot past the ball a little bit, and little do you know, I mean, when you got a guy that can jump 30 inches, that he can get way up for a ball. So we should have had a third interception, the one that got deflected. We had about 3 or 4 guys around it, and somehow they ended up with it. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
And Noah really by himself there, and with, of course, help from the defensive line and the rest of the defense, though. But those 2 interceptions got you guys right back in the game. You're down 21-0. He gets the first pick. You pound that in for the touchdown, open up the second half, pick off, and he takes it to the house himself just like that. Brand new ball game.
Well, that's what we talked about at halftime. Was we don't know where it's going to. This is going to be a 4-quarter game. We don't know how this thing's going to shake out. We're still in this ball game. We're only down 14 points at the time. It was going to be somewhere along the line either we were going to get a turnover or we were going to get good field position and put a drive together. And sure enough, we got a turnover and we got 7 points out of that. So from there, we believe that we can hang in this ball game and we can win it. And then we actually got another turnover on the punt return.
Yeah, that's right, and that turned into the touchdown to tie the game against Wofford on Saturday. As I was just handing a note by John Brush, the new SID here for the Citadel. First linebacker for the Bulldogs with 2 interceptions in a game since November 7th, 2015 at VMI when Quinlan Washington did it. Do you remember that game?
I do. Yeah, I remember it well. That was our first. That was our second year here, actually. That was a couple of good picks for him.
And great job by John to effort that after I asked him just a few moments earlier, and I was able to get me that information quickly. So first time in 3 years for Noah to have the pair of interceptions from a linebacker position for the Citadel, and then was named the Conference Player of the Year for the first time for the Bulldogs in 2 years. But all in all, the defense outside of those 2 interceptions, I thought did a lot of good things. Of course, allowed a couple of big plays in the first half, but when you look at the full 60 minutes of that game, I even jotted down the numbers. The Terriers had 4 drives of 4 plays or more, so only 4 drives reached a 4th play. Meanwhile, they had 5 3-and-outs. You had the 3 turnovers forced, and only 4 touchdowns for the Terriers. So outside of those big plays, it was a very good especially second half there for your defense.
When we look at the defensive big picture, we look at this as we saw really 3 big plays in 1 drive, and that's what it comes down to. 3 big plays in 1 drive, and that's usually the way it goes. On the offensive side, we were able to get 3 short fields, or 2 short fields and a score on defense, and we had 1 drive and 1 opportunity to be able to tie the game up. That's the game in a nutshell right there. Is you just don't know how it's going to shake out. Some drives may not yield anything, but you're playing field position, and I thought we had a much better field position game in the second half than we did in the first half. And it goes back to what I thought was the key to it, and that was the 4th down conversion. But in the second half, it's a completely different ball game. We go in there with a penalty on the offensive side, so we've got to kick deeper into our own zone there. But the defense is able to get a 3 and out right there and able to change the field position, and certainly able to put some points on the board. That certainly helps for us. So I thought defensively we played about as well as we can play without, take the missed tackles out, take the 3 big plays out, and that's what happens. They sustained the drive. I thought the backup quarterback came in on the last drive and gave them a little bit of juice, and of course broke some tackles right there, and they found a little bit of a chink in our armor, and were able to put that last drive together. But other than that, I thought we played fairly well defensively, and we just got to play a little bit more fundamental.
There were rumors leading up to that game that Wofford was going to use 3 different quarterbacks. Did you guys have to prepare for all 3 in the week leading up?
Well, I think once you prepare for Joe Newman, you've prepared for them all, because Joe is a dynamic player, and he can make you miss in a phone booth. He's one of those guys that you've got to defend every single aspect of him. The one thing that we didn't know was if there was going to be one that was going to be able to throw the football better than the other, because we hadn't seen the other 2 that much. So we had to defend everything out of the pass game as well.
Talking with Coach Thompson here on the Coaches Show for the Citadel Bulldogs from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant at 17 Lockwood Drive in downtown Charleston. Also being streamed on YouTube, where people can see my terrible posture sitting-wise, and where you can send in your questions online and on Twitter to the Citadel by hashtagging Ask Coach Thompson. You mentioned it, so I will ask you about that penalty at the end of the first half. Someone did ask about it online, and I don't want to try to get you in trouble with the officials or anything, but just what happened that final play of the first half with the penalty? Looked like maybe it'd be on Wofford, ended up being against the Bulldogs, and then you guys had to kick off from further back to open up the second half.
Well, the penalty was definitely on us. We were at fault there on that one. And then it's what happened afterward. Stood up, and there was a little bit of a pushing and a shoving, and you could just barely see it on the end of the clip right there. But that's where I thought the penalties were going to offset. And I knew going in that we were going to have to kick off, and we had to kick off from deep into our own area. It's a little bit different if you're receiving. You take the ball to 25, you take the ball to 25. Right. But when you've got a kickoff, you knew that field position was going to be huge. So I was trying to make sure that we had an offsetting penalty right there. But obviously they didn't see it that way. And I had to go in the locker room and make sure that we collected ourselves, and we got back out there, and I spoke to the officials afterward, and they were great about it. They didn't see anything, and that's all they can do, and they did their best.
Still recapping the season opener from this past Saturday between the Bulldogs and the Terriers. And speaking of kickoffs, we saw it a couple of times in that game, the new rule where you can fair catch a ball inside the 25 and get it as if it's a touchback. And the first time that Webb did it for you and the Bulldogs, the fans actually reacted, the home fans for Wofford reacted like they didn't know the rule. They thought you were going to be pinned back at the 1 yard line for calling a fair catch at the 1, but a heads-up play to get it at the 25. Do you like that new rule?
It's an interesting rule. As you progress and you see all these games go out, is you could fair catch, and all of a sudden you try to catch a kickoff team sleeping a little bit, thinking you're going to fair catch it again. You may want to take one of those out. So you've always got to be on edge right there. The only thing that you really take for granted is if you kick that thing deep in the end zone, and that's the goal right there. But certainly it is a nice advantage to be able to fit one inside the 5 yard line, inside the 4 yard line, and be able to to take it out on the 25 yard line, because 9 times out of 10 we don't usually get one past the 25 if we're inside the 5. But it's certainly a good opportunity for us to be able to create some decent field position to start off.
In general, how do you feel about kickoffs? They keep making changes to make it a safer play. Of course, that's typically the most important part, and a lot of talks about just eliminating it altogether because it's considered the most dangerous play in football. But now that there's a larger emphasis on touchbacks, now with this new fair catch rule, you eliminate some of those pop-up kicks, so the returns are going down and down. Would you like to see the kickoff remain in the game? Are you okay with it being eliminated? What's your stance on the kickoff just in general?
I don't ever want to see it eliminated. It's part of the game, unfortunately. I do see how it can be a negative aspect of the game. Right now, I do applaud the NCAA and the NFL for trying to make the game that much safer, but there is a little bit of gamesmanship at the end of games that you would have a hard time with if you didn't have a kickoff of some sort. And that's where, whether it's an onside kick or something that's a pop-over kick or a sky, whatever it is, I think you need to have some sort of strategy at the end of the game, and that's part of coaching and that's part of playing the game. It gives you an opportunity to be able to gain the ball back. And, it's not like baseball. We don't have an opportunity to score when you're in the field. You do have an opportunity to score when you're on defense or you're kicking the ball there. So I would like to try to see us, and once again, I applaud them for making the effort to kind of change it to help us out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, looking at that game Saturday and just the roster in general, 7 fourth-year seniors. Meanwhile, 7 freshmen played in that game Saturday, making their debuts. What did you think about some of the youngsters who suited up for the first time as a Bulldog?
We had some individually good efforts. Now, at times, their freshmen, it showed. Mm-hmm. And we had some just some mistakes out there. We had some missed tackles, of course, from some of our freshmen. But all in all, I think they did their best out there. They did exactly what we wanted them to do. There's some opportunities there where they could have had a little bit better of a play there, but you're asking a young kid to come in with not even a full year of training for us, not even a full year with us to be able to start for us at the bandit spot. Dustin Mack, due to an injury, he had to be the starter there, so I thought he did a fairly good job for us right there. Mason Kinsey out of Texas did a great job, took about 16 snaps on the defensive side of the ball right there, and he did a good job. Chris Beverly out of Florida just joining us this year, and he's done a great job all camp long. We're going to make our mistakes back there. It's just hopefully we don't magnify them too much, and especially on the defensive side, is that they can cost you touchdowns if there's a mistake, and especially a mistake in the secondary.
And one of those freshmen, Matthew Campbell, on the kicking side of things, your punter making his debut. People oftentimes forget about the special teams, but that's 1/3 of the game, and boy, did he have a great debut. 8 punts, averaged over 40 yards, I believe. Had put about 3 inside the 20. Had a couple over 50 yards. He had a good game special teams wise.
Yeah, unfortunately, we made him punt 8 times, but I think he had plenty of opportunities to punt the football, unfortunately. But that being said, I think he changed the field for us, especially in the second half. He was able to flip the field. He was able to stick them deep in there at times, and that's tough to do when you're a fairly similar style of offense to Wofford and us, is that you got to drive the football 11, 12, 15 plays, which can be difficult, especially early on in the year. So he did a great job.
And one of his punts took that nice bounce back into a Terrier defender to help you guys recover a fumble and go in to tie the game in that game against Wofford. One of the more impressive players on defense for me up in the press box was Aaron Brawley, the sophomore defensive end, who had 3 tackles all of last year. He led the team with 7 tackles on Saturday.
He had 6, yeah. He's an all-out effort guy. Believe it or not, when we recruited Aaron, he was about 205 pounds. We weren't sure if he was going to get to be big enough to play defensive line, but we loved his effort. His high school coach is a good friend of ours. We coached his son up at Lenore-Rhine, recommended to him, highly recommended him to us, and we took a little bit of a chance at that position, but boy, has it worked out for us. What a great teammate he is, what a great kid he is. He's a good student, works his butt off, and he's been a 2-year starter for us, and he started as a true freshman last year.
Had a nice debut Saturday. One final thing on that game from Saturday before we start looking forward to the home opener on Tuesday, where I imagine it'll be a packed house. The Bulldogs fans will be going crazy for you guys Saturday night, but this past Saturday, even on the road, a lot of Bulldogs fans there, including the whole freshman class, and boy, were they making a lot of noise, especially when you guys scored those 21 unanswered points. It almost felt like a home game with how loud that side of the stadium was.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when they bring the freshmen up, and I tell you what, is our commandant has done a great job with that, and is the last few years it's been so much fun to have them with us. I always knew the alumni up in the northern part of the state would turn out for that game. When you put them all together there, it just makes a great atmosphere. It turns what's usually a pretty dead atmosphere up there to a good atmosphere.
And so the Bulldogs in that first game falling 28-21 against Wofford, but getting back at it this Saturday at home against Chattanooga, still in Southern Conference play. Here from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant, it's the Coaches Show up till 8 o'clock. If you have questions online, you can tweet them at the Citadel Football account using the hashtag AskCoachThompson, and we'll ask a couple here throughout the hour leading up till 8 o'clock. Thank you for those out here joining us in person and on the radio or online. And when we come back, we'll look ahead to the home opener coming up Saturday against Chattanooga and break down that matchup a little bit further. It's the Coaches Show, coming back with more as we take a break here on 94.7 FM and 910 AM.
What does First Alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
To the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Low Country, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
What does first alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
To the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Low Country, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
We build our communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Low Country. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank, people you know and trust.
Style. Selection. Service. Quality. Value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Build our communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Low Country. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank, people you know and trust.
Style. Selection. Service. Quality. Value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Brent Thompson Show here from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant in downtown Charleston, located at 17 Lockwood Drive, and you can come out and join in on the fun each and every Wednesday from 7 to 8 here at the Marina Variety Store. Every Wednesday night throughout the football season. If you can't make it in person tonight or at any point throughout the year, you can still join us online on the YouTube stream through Citadel Sports, or even getting involved on social media by tweeting questions at the Citadel Football Twitter account to engage with Coach Thompson each and every Wednesday here on the Coach's Show. We've been spending the first half of the show talking about the first game of the season, that 28-21 loss at Wofford. Now we can turn our attention to the game upcoming this Saturday, still in the conference with Chattanooga coming up and coming to town here into Charleston Saturday night for a 6 o'clock kick. Coverage beginning on the Citadel Sports Network at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And Coach, right back into the conference here, week 2. I know when I talked to you before the first game, you said you didn't mind these 2 conference games to open up the season. Not that you can really do much about how the schedule shakes out for you guys, but after that loss, no rest. You come right back into the conference, but at least at home this week against Chattanooga.
Yeah, I think our guys will be up for this one without a doubt. There's a sense of playing at home. We haven't played at home in a while. We were on the road for the last 2 games of last year, on the road for the first game this year. So we'll be excited to get back there. Stay in our own bed, really, travel out, do our own routine, our home routine. That always helps us out a little bit. And, of course, our atmosphere down at our place is one of the best in the conference. So we're going to enjoy that. We're going to enjoy every minute of it. And we've only got 5 home games this year. So I think that we're going to probably appreciate every single one of those, and especially when the last 2 years we've had them cut short by Hurricanes. We hope that we don't have any of those this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Knock on wood. Leading into this home game, it's interesting. You bring up the routine to get ready, sleep in your own beds. At one of the stops I was at previously, that school actually played a lot better on the road than at home, and they felt it was because they had more control over the guys on the road when they're at the team hotel and they have the curfews. Not that you have to be concerned here about anybody going out and getting in trouble, but just in terms of your routine leading up to the game. Is it better to be at home as opposed to on the road? No bus trips, sleeping in your own bed, that helps to get ready for a game?
We do fairly well at home only because we do stay in a hotel here in Charleston, but it's more of the preparation, getting the Thursday, the Friday. Compresses our week a little bit, where we have to get out of here on a Friday at about noon or so. That means that kind of speeds up everything. It speeds up our prep time on the offense and defensive sides. Didn't make as much of a difference leading up because camp we had this thing prepped and installed. We usually do our first 3 opponents during the summertime, so these are pretty much all installed at this point. However, it's certainly there's some last minute things that you want to get done that you've got to do just before you get on the road. But there is something to be said for traveling and especially getting some rest with our guys because they've got a busy week. And typically that's what we do when we're at home. We kind of get them off campus, we get them a break, and then we bring them back for Friday and we practice and do a little bit of walkthrough and some meetings in the afternoon and evening.
You mentioned camp. They seem to be changing the rules each and every year about what you can and can't do in camp leading up to the start of the season. How did things go this year with those days off in between and maybe some more practices than years past?
It was odd. It was really odd having days off during camp. You didn't know what to do with yourself. During camp, you always felt like you were behind somewhere. This year, you felt like you were always ahead, like you didn't have anything to do. You were looking for things to do, which was kind of nice as a coach because you could sit there and plan everything a lot better. Not knowing, we prepped like it was any other camp going into it. We scripted out our first 8 practices, and by the time we got to the 8th practice, it was going to be our day off somewhere just before that. So we started planning out 3 or 4 more practices and getting our weeks down. But to be honest with you, I enjoyed it. Now, what it does make for is it makes for camp has to be precise. You can't have any bad practices during camp. You only have 25 opportunities now. You only get 1 day or 1 practice a day, and you only get 6 of those in a week. So you better make them count, and that's what we really focused on, was just making those practices count. Everything mattered. The walkthroughs mattered. The meetings mattered. Everything that we planned out all ahead of time had to make sense and had to go fairly smooth. And for the most part, it did. Usually you can run into a thunderstorm here and there. You've got to flip a practice. You've got to go inside. You've got to do a walkthrough instead. Didn't happen this year. I thought everything kind of worked out the way that we wanted it to work as best as it could. You're always going to be throwing a curveball here and there, and there's always an orientation of some sort that you got to work around. But those are things to be expected. You can't get frustrated with those things. You got to kind of roll with the punches during camp, especially when you do have days off. At least you got time to relax and kind of catch your breath.
And that certainly helps to then get ready to dive right into conference play. First with Wofford, who won the conference a year ago. They were picked 2nd in the preseason poll in the conference. Chattanooga right around you guys there in the middle of the pack in the Southern Conference, and that's your opponent this week, the Mocs of Chattanooga, coming to town. Last year you went there, you pulled off a win. You guys were trailing at halftime, came back, beat Chattanooga in the second half. What do you remember from that game and can take potentially from that game to get ready for this matchup with Chattanooga on Saturday?
We had a lot of unfinished drives, and it was kind of one of those things that was it went through the whole last year was the red zone. We couldn't finish a drive in the red zone. We had a couple missed field goals in that. We had more opportunities to have the lead. We had more opportunities to have a bigger lead there at the end. So it was a little bit of it. It was always great to get a win there, and then it came all the way down to the last play in the end zone where we had to make an interception to be able to seal the win. But to be honest with you, we didn't play fairly well. We needed to play a lot better there. They played extremely well, I thought. I thought they moved the ball on a couple of drives. They had a counter play that went pretty long on us. They kind of made more of an emphasis to run the football in that game than they had in previous. I thought that game for them was kind of the momentum turn. It was the over-the-hump game. They were able to play close and they were able to get things going. Throughout the rest of the year, I think they played extremely well, and I think that game kind of kick-started them.
You talked about the red zone struggles in that game, and of course that was a big storyline this offseason, getting ready for this year. And in the first game of the year against Wofford, 2 for 3 in the red zone. Of course, that one was the final possession. After all the conversations about it, the game comes down to a red zone possession like that, but in a different scenario. How did you feel about the red zone offense in that Wofford game and moving forward here against Chattanooga and the rest of the season?
Well, even in that last possession, we had our opportunities in the red zone, and we knew we had to throw it for 4 times there. We used up all of our timeouts, and we wanted to give ourselves 4 possessions, or at least 4 shots at the end zone. I thought for sure when we had 4 chances we would hit one of them in there, but we did have some open receivers. We just kind of missed them. Protection may have broke down a little bit. We scrambled around. We had some open guys here and there. So I think 3 of the 4 we had some good opportunities on. But the better thing was to see was the previous couple possessions where we were actually able to step up to the 20-25 yard line and stick the ball in the end zone like we preached all season long and all off season long, really.
To get better at something like that, is it just a case of more reps, just doing it over and over again in practice, or are there certain things that you're working on that makes you more efficient inside the 20-yard line?
Part of it is your offense. Is you want to make sure that you have installed those type of plays. The field gets squeezed on you. Mm-hmm. Typically, our offense is built for the red zone. Typically, we don't have to change too much. So really what we did is we just emphasized it. And as coaches, we say that you get what you emphasize. We emphasized it all spring long. I think every day we worked about a red zone period. We worked red zone probably 7 or 8 times during camp. So it's one of those things where we've got to be able to continue to just to work on. We worked again a little bit today as well.
Getting back to this game with Chattanooga Saturday night to kick off the home schedule here in 2018. A couple of years ago, you guys scored off at the Mocs to decide the Southern Conference itself, the champion, and now kind of a new era there for Chattanooga with a new head coach coming in last year. They went 3-8 a year ago. Opened up this season with a big win Thursday night against Tennessee Tech. How have things changed for the Mocs these past really year and a half with that coaching change and a lot of new players that have come in there?
Well, I do think that he has changed and kind of figured out what it's going to take to win at Chattanooga. He's done a good job of getting those guys to believe in what he's doing there. And in his version, Coach Huseman had been there for a few years and had done fairly well there. But you brought a whole new staff in there, and you've got to kind of feel your way out a little bit. And they've taken some transfers, and they've done a good job with in recruiting. They've still got some really good defensive players. They've still got some really good offensive players. It's just a matter of how do those pieces fit into what they want to do and how they do it. And usually after a year they can figure it out. And like I said, right after our game, I thought they had some really good wins, and they really started to click a little bit, especially on the offensive side.
We'll get more into the Chattanooga game and look at their offensive side of things and how they match up on defense as well when we come back. Take another break, come back with more with the head coach of the Citadel Bulldogs, Brent Thompson, as we dive deeper into Saturday's matchup, the home opener for the Bulldogs when they welcome in Chattanooga. That and more coming up here on the other side of the break on the Coach's Show from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant right here on ESPN Radio 94.7 FM and 910 AM.
What does First Alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
To the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Lowcountry, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
We build our communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Lowcountry. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank. People you know and trust.
Style. Selection. Service. Quality. Value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home.
What does first alert weather mean? It means you're connected.
To the here, to the now.
To big changes before they happen.
From the everyday to the severe, you need a team that gives you the earliest alert.
When we know, you'll know.
Anywhere you are. Led by the most experienced meteorologist in the Low Country, Live 5 is your weather leader.
Not because we want to be first, because your safety comes first.
First Alert Weather, only from Live 5 News.
We build our communities. We earn our success. We, as South Carolinians, work best together. Don't follow your bank into the impersonal world of mergers. Make a change. Visit South Atlantic Bank to talk with local bankers who care about the Low Country. Our local headquarters will be ready next year on Johnny Dodds Boulevard. Until then, stop by our current location. You'll find a community bank with a proven track record of financial success. South Atlantic Bank. People you know and trust.
Style. Selection. Service. Quality. Value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show here from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant at 17 Lockwood Drive in downtown Charleston. We'll be here each and every Wednesday night for the Coaches Show with head coach Brent Thompson on the radio, online, and you can join in on social media. We received another question, Coach, online talking about that deflected pass that you mentioned in the Wofford game, but just in general, on a deflected pass that becomes a jump ball like that situation, what can you do to the receiver as a defender as the ball is coming down that is legal to be able to defend?
So as soon as that ball is tipped, that becomes a live ball. That guy becomes a live man. You can block him, you can tackle him, you can do whatever you got to be able to get the ball.
So you can send in your questions each and every Wednesday by hashtagging Ask Coach Thompson. Thank you for the question there on social media. We get back to the game at hand this week when Chattanooga comes to town Saturday for the first home game of the season for the Citadel, and talking about that win last year against the Mocs on the road. Last season, Chattanooga offensively reached 24 points just once all year. They opened up this season with a win 34-10 at home Thursday against Tennessee Tech. They have a new starting quarterback that didn't play against you guys last year. How is this offense different this season for the Mocs compared to what you saw from them last year?
Well, he certainly can throw the ball. He does a good job. He's a transfer from Mississippi State. He's got some good wide receivers. They're going to motion all around. They're going to be able to, in short, quick passing game. He's got a big offensive line. The difference is from years in past than it was last year was I think he started quite a few freshmen on the offense last year on the offensive line, and we know how that feels. So they'll be that much older. They'll be that much more experienced. So that's that's why I think their offense is clicking, and they're doing a lot better job on offense this year.
Yeah, they're starting quarterback Nick Tiano, who transferred in from Mississippi State, as you mentioned. He's one of 23 transfers on the team out of 105 guys that suit up, so almost a fourth of the roster has transferred into Chattanooga with the new head coach coming in a year ago. Is that an advantage for a program to be able to get some guys from other places that come in, even if it's only for a couple of years?
Well, it's only an advantage probably to build some depth at certain spots. I don't know that you want to bring those guys in the hopes that they're going to be this or that, and you put a lot of pressure on those guys as well. Too many of those guys can also be an issue. Too many transfers that we always thought was an issue. Somewhere around, that's probably the tipping point, a little bit beyond 20, it becomes a little bit more when it becomes that much part of your roster, because you're constantly having to replace them. It becomes cyclical. You usually do that when you come in like Coach Arthur's done and come in and just trying to fill in some spots that maybe are vacated. You don't have a chance to be able to go out and recruit and develop all those players. We're not in any of those positions at all. We're able to take fifth-year transfers, and we've taken about 4 or 5 of those, which is a little bit on the high end for us. But I like all those kids. I think they've all done a good job of blending in and fitting in, which is the most important thing that they must do. And then they're great depth guys for us. They're going to take 16 to 20 snaps, maybe some 30 snaps for us. Sean McCord took about 35 snaps for us last week. So I think that's helped us out in the transfer market, in the transfer game, because we don't readily replace guys. If a guy leaves our program, we don't have a chance to develop him over the course of 4 years. That's going to affect us a little bit more than it would affect a Chattanooga or Western Carolina that can go ahead and take a junior college kid or an FBS transfer guy.
One of their transfers, Keenan Orr from Arizona State, had an interception in the win last week against Tennessee Tech. But defensively for the Mocs, when they went up against the Bulldogs last year, you and Citadel rushed for more than 400 yards against them. How do you see you guys matching up with them on that side of the football, your offense against their defense here in 2018?
They are a big physical defensive line. They're starting 2 of the 3 down defensive linemen are returners. The other one, young man's a redshirt freshman. So we know what we're getting. They're going to be tough to move out of there. They're going to know what they're doing. They know how to play that defense fairly well. The linebackers wise, I think the linebackers do a pretty good job of keying into you. You got to try to get their eyes out of place a little bit to try to get them fooled a little bit. And then we've got to take our shots downfield more than we did last year. We had a couple of opportunities. We did score once through the air last year on a vertical ball to Josh LeBlanc there, and we got to take a couple more shots down the field, I think, this year.
Speaking of that passing game, and we spent a lot of time in the opening segment talking about your new starting quarterback on a week-to-week basis, Jordan Black. What would you like to see from him this week, progressing from the first game to the second game, that allows you to know he's taking those right steps forward?
Settle in and let the game come to you. Slow the game down for yourself. I don't know if he was putting too much pressure on himself, or it's certainly opening up with Wofford is not an easy opener. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason why they're 9th in the country, and they've done a good job. But to be honest with you, I think he needs to settle down. He needs to command that offense a little bit more. He throws the ball a heck of a lot better than he shows. He reads it a lot better than he showed. And I think you'll see a huge improvement from game 1 to game 2 with him.
Talking with Coach Thompson here on the Coaches Show after the Citadel fell in the opener 28-21 at Wofford. Now they are ready to welcome in Chattanooga Saturday night for their first home game of the year. Let me ask you maybe the dumbest question of the night. How big of a difference would it be to start the year 1-1 in the conference compared to, say, 0-2?
Well, especially heading into a Charleston Southern week where you've got a non-conference opponent, I think it would be huge for us. We just need to create momentum more than anything else. Once this team creates momentum, I think that'll help us out more than anything. We just need to get over that one hump and start to develop a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit of a groove, have a little bit of swagger to us. Because I thought going into the game we prepped as about as well as we could. We had really 3 good days leading into that of prep for Wofford that I thought we were ready. Unfortunately, I didn't think we came out ready to play in the first couple of quarters. But by the end of the game, we figured we could play with these guys, and we were going to be resilient.
So with that said, would a fast start be important Saturday against the Mocs? I
think so. Yeah. There's no doubt we need a fast start. We need to come out of the gates humming pretty good. We need to execute our offense and just get a 3-and-out on defense and something to go right early on and be able to just create some momentum and get it on our side, get the fans on our side, create a little bit of atmosphere in that stadium, and it should be good.
Expecting a large crowd on Saturday as well. 6 o'clock kick with coverage beginning on the radio at 4 o'clock to kick off the home schedule for the Bulldogs this year right here in Charleston. We don't want you to reveal your secrets on the World Wide Web or over the internet, but what are some keys for Saturday's game? That's certain things, if you guys pull off, you'll be able to come out of there victorious against Chattanooga.
Well, of course, we need to establish the run, and then we need to take our shots downfield, of course. We need to get them to 3 and out. We need to probably get them on our terms, play the field position game with them early on, flip the field early on, and there's probably going to come down to a few field goals here and there we're going to have to make this year. So all those things combined, we need to be pretty good on offense, defense, and special teams. But more importantly, I think we need to drive the ball, kill the clock, eat the clock a little bit, establish a little bit of our brand of football again. Everything that we've been talking about from the last year all the way on, with the things that we didn't do last year, that's what I want to see, the things that we need to do this year. Kill the clock a little bit, take the air out, and just kind of lean on people a little bit more than we have the last couple of years.
Looking at your running game, Lorenzo Ward, of course, had the big day on Saturday. Moving forward, not only Saturday, but this upcoming Saturday, but throughout the year, is he the guy in the backfield to look for? Are there A-backs that are going to be more involved as the season progresses?
Well, we established that as a B-back game last week, and we knew that was going to be that way. It may not be that way this week. We don't typically know from week to week. We kind of had a good idea last week it was going to be that kind of a game, because we were just going to do that. We were going to keep the ball away, ball control it, drive the football, play field position, make them drive the long field if we possibly could. And when it worked out, I think it worked out well for us. Unfortunately, at the end it didn't. However, this week, same thing is we've got to be able to drive the football, and we've got some pretty good running backs in the backfield, including Jordan himself, with you got Rod Johnson back there, who's been back there for 4 years. You got Grant Drakeford, who's been back there for 3 years for us. Not only do you have Lorenzo Ward back there, but you got 2 freshmen, and you still got a couple more guys back there that are good B-backs. So we're in a much better spot than we have been the last 2 years at B-back, where we were just playing Tyler Renew for the most of the time, and we were just playing Brandon Rainey for most of the time, and Lorenzo Ward was kind of the change-up guy. I think we've got some legitimate prospects in the backfield that you'll see throughout the year. Now, Clay Harris, you saw he ripped off a run the other day.
Yeah.
Amike Nwanze is in the backfield for us, and he's coming along very nicely, and he's a different kind of runner, strong, powerful, low-to-the-ground runner. And then we still have some younger A-backs that we're developing. We're fairly fortunate at A-back right now, where we've got 4 upperclassmen that I think are solid players. We've got a 5th one that's a freshman that's going to come along, and you'll see him by the end of the year as well.
I imagine you and all the players, there's still plenty of work to be done, I'm sure, these next couple of days, but very excited for Saturday to run out there for the first time on your own field in front of your fans and kick it off for the hometown faithful.
Yeah, I think we don't take anything for granted, especially when it comes to playing at home. I just told you a little while ago that we've had 2 taken away from us, so I think it will. I think it'll be certainly a pleasure for us to run out in front of our hometown fans, and it'll be a great atmosphere, as we talked about, and it should be a great football game as well.
6 o'clock kickoff at Johnson-Hagood Stadium. Make sure you come out early and get ready for the kick and be in there by the time the game starts at 6 o'clock. As we wind down the coaches' show, time for the most important question of the night. How are the wings?
They were terrific, actually. I really enjoyed them. I was able to get a couple down in the last couple of breaks, so I'm going to ramp up the heat a little bit, I think, next time around.
If the running backs run the ball as quickly as you ate those wings during the commercial breaks, you guys will be perfect all year.
Look, I've learned is you got to get them in while you can, man.
I imagine so. Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. First coaches show here of 2018 in the books, and still a couple of minutes left before we completely wind down. So while we have the moment, I will expand a little bit further on the wings, because you grew up towards the upstate part of New York. I hear a lot about the wings from Buffalo being a little bit overrated. Have you ever had the wings in Buffalo? What do you think?
I've recruited Buffalo, but I've never spent a whole lot of time there. I wish I did, and I wish I had them to compare to, but I don't. On the eastern side of the state, we don't quite have the wing reputation that they have over there on the western side. Well,
only on the coach's show here from the Marina Variety Store restaurant will you get the hard-hitting questions about wings from New York and other places throughout the country. Coach, we appreciate the time. First one in the books. You think it went pretty well tonight?
Yeah, I appreciate it. The venue's great. The view is fantastic. The crowd is even better. I think we've got a great crowd out here tonight, and we're looking forward to having even a bigger crowd next week. What more could you want? Is you come out here to a beautiful view, you got some good food, and we're able to talk a little bit about Citadel football.
Absolutely, and we'll be here every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 from the Marina Variety Store restaurant at our new location this football season. Visit them anytime, 17 Lockwood Drive here in downtown Charleston. Great seafood with a great view, not far from the Citadel campus. And then especially make sure to join us here in person every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 with the Coaches Show here with Coach Brent Thompson throughout the football season. Coach, we appreciate all your time tonight, your candidness, and we wish you and the Bulldogs the best of luck this Saturday against Chattanooga.
Thank you, Luke. Great job on your first show out here. I want to thank everybody that came out, of course, and I want to see some more people out here next week.
Absolutely. Next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, for everybody out there listening and everybody here in person. Make sure you join us Saturday for the first home game of the season. 6 o'clock kickoff. Coverage will begin 4 o'clock throughout the Citadel Radio Network here in Charleston on 102.1 FM, 92.1 FM, and 1450 AM. We'll be back here next Wednesday, 7 o'clock show with the second edition of the Coaches Show here in 2018 on the radio right here on 94.7 FM and 910 AM ESPN Radio from the Marina Variety Store Restaurant. We wish the Bulldogs the best of luck Saturday. Kickoff at 6 o'clock. Make sure you come and join us. If you can't make it for whatever reason, tune into the radio with coverage beginning at 4 o'clock. But we hope to see you Saturday and hope to cheer on the Bulldogs en route to what hopefully will be the first victory of the season. Until next Wednesday with the Coaches Show, I'm Luke Morrow for head coach Brent Thompson of the Bulldogs. We wish you a happy rest of your Wednesday night. We'll see you Saturday for the home opener for the Bulldogs here in 2018.
Thanks, Luke.